Hi, and welcome back to Prescott E-News Prescott Talks. My name is Glenn Martin. I'm the host, and thank you again for so much for coming in. It's been a while. It's been a month. There's a lot of things that have happened in a month, and I'll talk about that a little bit later on. But I want to introduce my guest today, Quang Nguyen, who is running for LD1, that's the state house in our area.
Yes, sir.
And I'm so glad. Thank you, Quang, for coming in and talking with us and taking the moment.
It's great to see you. It's always great to see you, and after your medical things and, So
well, I appreciate that, and you've always been a good friend, But this is our interview right now about what's going on with you and your campaign and its primary.
Right.
So you won, and you won pretty handily in the primary.
One of the two seats.
And one of the two seats.
Right.
Judy Burgess is the second one.
Yes.
But I think you led the votes overall, did you not?
I did.
Okay.
I did. And I'm so
And then Judy came in, and so, but there's two seats open.
Right. And I am so honored to have so much support from the public, from the voters of Legislative District 1, and just want you all to know I'm grateful, and I am truly honored.
Yeah, and so where do you go from here, I guess is my question. We're still in this
There's
COVID
a thing called a
environment.
general election in November, and I can't take things for granted. I will continue to push hard all the way through. There's no room to relax. There's no room for complacency. And you know me. I'm always busy reading and studying and working. So.
Well, it's funny you should say that, because even when I called you to see if you could come to the show, you were saying, I'm on page 15 of a 60-page report. It seems like you're always reading and trying to keep up to date and what's going on.
I don't know everything.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to be honest to the constituents and say, I don't know everything, but I am going to learn as much as I can. And if I'm lucky enough to win November 3rd, I'll be somewhat prepared when I go down there.
Yeah,
so that's my attitude.
There's always that shock when you finally walk on.
Yes, sir. What now?
Yeah, what's coming at me now, right?
Right.
So I've been to a couple of your speeches.
Yes, sir.
You did an outstanding job over at the Oath Keepers the other day. You spoke about communism and the impacts that has on countries like from where you came from.
Right.
And then you spoke at the Republican rally we had here in the plaza
last Saturday.
And is there any other speeches that are coming up that you would like to
believe it or not, was it yesterday or the day before? I was in Paulden, and they had a couple of people from ADOT, and the citizens in Paulden are really concerned about the things going on around traffic, transportation. So I came down there up there to go listen, and I think it's important for me to listen to both the ADOT presentation and the concerns of Paulden. So it was an eye-opening experience for me, and just be there to listen and take notes.
What do you have in the future? I mean, as far as any speaking engagements, or kind of give me what your itinerary is, if you can recall it. I know you didn't bring your notes.
Yeah,
and you don't
I didn't bring. I don't have my calendar.
Your famous
with me,
blue book, but
I got an invitation. I believe September 23rd or 24th. It's on a Monday that I'm going to be speaking down in Maricopa County for about 10 minutes.
Okay.
So I have that going on, and I know I got another invitation to speak an anthem. So
date to be announced.
Yeah, date to be announced.
Okay.
And so I'm always excited. And just because the primary is over, it's not over. I have absolutely zero illusion that somehow I won something, and I like to stay humble.
Well, you're in the runoff, and that's a goal and a great way to start on where you're going. But I keep on thinking about your Facebook page. So a lot of people who may want to know where you're going to be, what you're going to speak to, you do have a Facebook page that you announce your engagements.
Yes, I do have a Facebook page, and you look me up at Quang H. Nguyen I'll let you figure out how to spell that one. But you'll find me there. There, you're gonna find all my political comments and so on. And I also use every now and then I use my personal Facebook page to make a political statement. And I usually don't make political statements until something really bugged the heck out of me, and then I go there, and just to be honest to the people. I want to make sure that people always understand where I stand, and I think that's important personally to me.
So, besides your Facebook page, do you have a website that you also?
Yes, I have a website called quang4arizona.com or QFOR Arizona.com. When you go there, you can see my platform. You can see the endorsements, what people actually say about me. I think that's important when outside people who you've known for a long time, and these aren't buddies, friends. They are buddies and friends, but they're not your cousin making a comment about you. And I always look at these people as, I'm going to endorse this guy, but at the same time, I'm risking my reputation publicly to endorse him. So they take it quite seriously, and I take it quite seriously as well.
Yeah. Well, for the people who do know you, and I'm going to go over all the back history of a lot of your stances, you are a strong conservative. Matter of fact, I think you're conservative to the core. I mean, you're unrepentant, you're a proud conservative, and you speak conservative.
I haven't changed my attitude since I came here, learning how to speak English and realized that, oh my gosh, there are so many things about the Vietnam War that I didn't know, and the cause and the escalation and the fall of Saigon. Once I understood a lot of it, I turned even more and more conservative.
Yeah.
I mean, just the way things happen, and if you follow history enough, and it's tragic that we're trying to erase history now. And for me, my foundation is based on actual history, and so that's how I'm going to live for the rest of my life. And back in 2009, 2010, when we started the Yavapai County Tea Party, I was a strong member. I spoke out against liberalism and all the things.
Socialism, communism.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Would you say, this is just throwing out this question, would you say the Vietnamese community is mostly conservative, or do they have
I think the initial or the original group of immigrants are like myself, an immigrant. My wife, an immigrant, my parents, and so on. We tend to be overly conservative, but for some reason, the first generation, excluding my two children, I can't speak for somebody else's children. Excluding my two, they sort of buy into this, education that the indoctrination that they get, and so you have a bunch of first generation who are. I mean, you saw the article I posted last night,
and that's why
they actually endorsed Ho Chi Minh.
Yeah.
I mean, with the yellow flag and three stripes in the background, how could you even mention the name Ho Chi Minh? While standing in front of those flags, and people actually bled and died for those flags, and you're talking about giving Ho Chi Minh. It drives me crazy. It gets my blood pressure up pretty high.
Well, that I didn't mean to get your blood pressure up.
No, I'm fine.
But now, I just I saw that post, and it really kind of hit me, thinking when I was living in California, that was during the 1975 era when there were a lot of refugees coming, and I found that a lot of them that were very conservative. And the thing about the Vietnamese people who were coming, they wanted to melt and blend in to the community. I mean, we still could go down to Little Saigon and Garden Grove, and the businesses would have their business in Vietnamese, and then underneath it would be in English. But it seemed like they wanted to, the people wanted to become Americans. That's the way I perceived them.
And that's how I perceived them too, because I myself wanted to be so badly an American. like I said in many of your interviews, first thing I wanted to do was to learn how to speak English.
Yeah.
The second thing I wanted to do was to assimilate.
Right.
You know, and you know, my wife is the same way. You know, I'm not going to speak for the community, but the community, you can clearly see that, you know, the first generation, I mean, they're all fluent in English, and you know, if you look at the military,
yeah,
there's countless number of Vietnamese, you know, joining the military to pay back, and it's amazing.
Well, I don't want to go back in all the history of, you know, but your speeches of where you came from and how you got here and how you progressed and how you became that American. It's a phenomenal story. And if anybody has never seen that or heard it, I would urge them to come and listen to one of your speeches about where you came from, because it is truly the American story and it's truly the American dream. And I will never forget you telling me about your comprehension test they took, that you didn't understand the words, and they said, "Oh, you're not college material."
Yeah,
and
but,
now,
but you know what?
What did you prove them wrong?
Yeah, but here's the thing.
Yeah.
To somebody else, it may be a special story. To me, it's just the thing to do.
Yeah.
It wasn't all that special. I mean, what is so special about learning how to speak the language that the country that adopted you,
Right.
and also you know, you live here? There's nothing special about learning English. There isn't any special about going to work. So that's how I see my story. Just
And it's interesting how you perceive your story compared to those of us who have taken America. We were born in America.
Right.
We never had to struggle the way that you and some of the other immigrants have done. I worked in the Coachella Valley in California. I knew a lot of Hispanic Americans who came over and came through the front door, and when they took that oath, they felt the same way you do, or you did even then, the first time you say the Pledge of Allegiance as an American citizen.
It's a big deal.
It's just a big deal. So it kind of relates, and I just feel that sometimes we Americans take so much for granted, our language, our schools, what we have, and then when we talk to somebody who had to assimilate and come from another country, we don't realize sometimes how lucky we really are in the land of plenty that we live in.
It was never all that special to me, but it was scary. I mean, yeah, being an American is special. Learning, you know, how to be an American, a productive one, is really special. I mean, we're all striving for it. But the action itself, it's just not all that special.
Yeah.
But it was scary for me, you know, being 12, 13 years old and not know a single word. I think those are the things that kind of push me along. You know, hey, let's get this done a little faster.
Yeah. So let's kind of speed up a little bit. And I know you've been doing a lot of reading, and I know you've got a lot of thought process that's going on. So if you're lucky enough to be elected that day that you walk into the House, what do you see? Where are you going to go? What do you see as something that you need to be involved with to improve?
Well, I will tell you this. Someone said to me, "You'd be lucky to find a bathroom." So during one of the forums, I actually said, "You know what? I'd be happy to find a bathroom." But seriously, I think the shock is going to be sworn in, and then meeting a lot of legislators that, you know, you've never met before.
Right.
And not understanding the procedure or how difficult or how easy it may be. I think those are the kind of things that I'm going to try to get my feet wet within the first week, and, you know, just ask a lot of questions. My priority has always been about getting the economy rolling again, getting the state to reopen again. And those are the kind of things that I think that we all need to form some kind of coalition and say, you know what, enough is enough of this. Shut down. I mean, I was at a business yesterday, you know, Matt's Saloon, and just listening to all the problems this gentleman has to go through to get his place reopened, and still, you know, business is not great because, you know, of the social distancing and the mask and all these things. But
and the regulations and all
the regulations
out,
and regulation. I'm glad you brought it up. Regulation is another thing that we need to, you know, ease up a little bit. If not totally remove some of these crazy things that, you know, every time you introduce a bill Every time you introduce a new law or you vote on a new one, you tend to strangle the citizen just a little bit more. And so I'd like to go there at some point in time to be able to say, you know what, let's take some of these laws out and allow people, especially now, look at businesses, you know, just horrible. Unemployment in Arizona is one of the highest in the nation.
Well, if you don't believe it doesn't work, look at President Trump. When he took all the regulation out, the market went skyrocketing.
Right.
You know, we're oil independent,
Right.
we're you know,
Right.
energy independent now, and a lot of the companies are coming back to
Right.
America because we're not choking them out anymore.
Right.
And
Right.
and a lot of that has to do with the same thing in Arizona on a smaller scale. We need to start allowing these businesses to breathe a little
Right.
bit, relax some of the restrictions that they've had.
Absolutely.
Because they, I mean, again, you know, I think about our little town Prescott here. I was talking with one of the councilmen the other day, and I think we named off like 26 different businesses that are no longer open.
I drove by them. I walked by them last night,
Right.
and you know, all shut down.
Yeah. These things are real. You know, we cannot deny it. You know, when I look at and I was talking with another friend, I look at the stock market and I go, holy cow, the stock market's on fire. You know, it's almost back to where it was pre-COVID, which, you know, I'm grateful. I'm glad to see it. But Main Street is not doing all that well. Main Street, where I live, Prescott, our little area here, I hear the stories from the people who work here. I see the people trying to make their house payment and are struggling. I see the single moms and the moms out there who are married trying to educate their kids because they can't send them to school or they don't have a babysitter. There's a lot of issues out there, Quang, and these are home-based issues.
You know what I like to see? I like to see our local politicians going out there and speak to the workforce. And I think that's what's lacking, is that we're not out there speaking to the workforce. And you know, I'm just getting my feet wet. But when John Snyder called me up and said, hey, let's go to Paulden. Would you come down to, you know, come to Paulden? I'm right there. I'm right there. You know, just listening to people, just say something positive and encourage people. And I think we need to have more of that with politicians.
Well, you're at the state level. You're going to be at the state level. So that's a whole different area. But my question to you, Quang, as a candidate, has any of our local leaders come to talk to you and say, hey, man, when you get down there, we sure could help you. We sure could have your help with A, B, C, or D?
Right. You know, I've been very lucky. I'm fortunate. A few of my friends are actually on the city council here in Prescott. And Mayor Mangarelli actually reached out to me on the phone, and we had an hour plus of conversation at his office. It was extremely productive. And I learned something from him. And my whole idea of speaking to people is not to tell people what I'm gonna do, but more so, what am I learning from you so that when I get down there, I could do something to help you then. And I think that's my thing, is always to learn, always to listen. These kind of events here between you and me, that's when you're gonna hear me talk a lot, because you're asking me questions, I'm answering. But usually when I'm in a crowd, I get my notepad out and start taking notes.
Gotcha. Well, that's why we do these interviews, because it's really the forum of the 2020 election, because a lot of people still are afraid to come out. And so I can't thank you enough for coming and speaking to the public, because these are things that we need to know, you know, as an informed electorate, that we understand where our candidates are and standing. And, you know, as you were talking about when you first hit the House, what's going to help you a lot, and I think, is the fact that, and again, I'm saying this because I believe it to be true, Judy Burgess is going to be there with you. And nobody knows the system better than Judy Burgess. She understands how the Senate works, how the House works, and I'm sure she's going to be able to help you navigate through
through
but
that
system.
Being said,
But I know you will always be your own guy.
Thank you.
I get that.
I'm always gonna be that independent guy. I'm always gonna think for myself. And you know, occasionally people will call me up and say, you know, I kind of worry about you a little bit because you're a rookie going down there. But I may be a rookie legislator, but I'm a strong human being. In real life.
Well, I can personally attest to that, because I've interviewed and known a lot of politicians in my time, and I can tell you that some of them have let me down when they got into the elected position. But Quang, every fiber of my body knows that you're a very strong person. You're not going to change. You're always going to stand up for conservatism and our values. And you're not going to be swayed. And it doesn't matter.
But, you know, there are times, you know, everyone makes a mistake. You know, no doubt about it. And I'm going to try to minimize that. I'm going to talk to a lot of people before I make a decision. And a sound decision, I will do so. But if I make a mistake, I would expect
I'll give you a phone call. Well, we all do make a mistake, and we don't see some of the things, and I understand that. That's called being human. But I'm talking about overall, you're a strong conservative, and your values are there. And, you know, I know you always listen to both sides of the issue, and I've interviewed you before. You will listen to the Democratic side of the issue, but you'll always stand with the conservative vote. So,
and I'm sure we have common grounds in different issues. You know, maybe education. We all have common ground, which is to educate our children, to give them the best education we can. So those are the kind of things that we have. But I'm not selling my soul. Right.
Well, we do have common grounds. There's a lot of things that I know the Democrats will help with. I mean, and support. I mean, we all want to have, you know, prosperity for our kids, and again, education and health care and opportunity to thrive.
There are a lot of things in common ground there.
So there's a lot of things that can be talked to and understood, but understand that, you know, we're not going to sell our soul to the other side.
And there may be different routes to get to the same goal, and we may not believe or agree on the routes that we're taking. You know, whether conservative or liberal, we will probably take different routes to get there, but I'm willing to listen. But like I said, you know, I am conservative to the core, and that's not negotiable.
Gotcha. Well, Quang, I really don't have a whole lot of other questions. I know this was kind of off the cuff because, you know, I've been gone for a while, and I really wanted to get you in and wish you well going forward, and have you talk to the folks a little bit after you're done with the primary. So as we go into the general, if you'd like to speak to the people out there listening to my show, and give them your ideas and your thoughts.
You know, before I get too far ahead of myself, I always kind of humbling, you know, experience in terms of, you know, reminding myself that I need to be humble, and I need to understand that there is a general election in November. And just understand now, between now and November 3rd, I'm going to read, I'm going to learn as much as I can. I'm going to take as many phone calls as I can. I'm going to go out and meet and greet with as many people as I can. And it's all about the learning process, and also to allow you to understand who I am as a person before you go to the poll and pull that lever for me. So I hope you continue to ask the questions. I hope you continue to find out who I am, talk to me, and I'll be happy to answer all those questions. But for now, just understand that I'm reading hundreds of pages almost daily, and I will continue to do so, and hopefully I'll be a good one.
Q for LD1.com.
Yes.
And you do reply.
For Arizona, Q4Arizona.com. And I do talk to just about everybody. And the amount of emails come in are pretty substantial. So you just have to give me a little bit of wiggle room there.
That's awesome. Thank you, Quang.
Thank you.
You betcha,
it's always
buddy.
good to see you.
Good seeing you too. So I always like to end our show with thanking our current serving and our prior serving military for your service and giving us the opportunity to sit at this table and discuss the issues. I always like to thank our law enforcement and our firefighters for everything that they do to keep our streets safe. I know a lot of you may have wondered why I haven't been on for the last month or so. Well, I had a medical emergency. I had full cardiac arrest. I always say thank you to our fire department, but this really brought it home to me. My wife kept me alive doing CPR, and she called 911. Engine 75, Captain McCarty's crew came in, and they did CPR, and they actually had to defibrillate me to get my heart started again. You know, it started off a chain of events where, you know, I really had no idea how many people were my friends and cared about me in this community. I am so humbled. Quite honestly, this is a retake, because when we did the show originally, I couldn't spit the words out because I was just, again, so humbled. So I want to say thank you to several people who thought of me and kind of watched over me during this time. One of them was my friend Chris Kuknio, who later on I found out he was calling for prayers on KYCA when he found out about it. Larry Jacobs, you know, called, you know, many days to make sure that I was doing okay and, you know, I was mentally doing well as well. Pam and Bob Pearsall, the grandkids. Many times I would walk out my door and I would be flooded with little hearts from the grandkids as they did their little art projects, and really it touched me. Heights Church, the men's ministry, safety ministry, Sheepdogs, thank you again so much. You all gave me a lot of prayers and a lot of well wishes that you know, prayers do work, and I'm a symbol of that right now. The Arizona Rangers, I understand that they had a prayer chain going on as well. The mayor, Greg Mangarelli, thank you so much. Again, reaching out to wish me well. Mayor Pro Tem Billy Orr, same thing. Our councilman Phil Good and my friend, again, calling to make sure that I was doing well. And Mary Beth and Noel Campbell, a couple other people that were wishing me well. You know, I always say Prescott is a special place, and I mean that sincerely. I had no idea how special it was until this event, and maybe I did know, but when this event happened, it was really, again, very humbling and a humbling experience. You know, again, this is a retake, and I want to say thanks to my producer, Rob, for, you know, he's got the patience of a saint. Many times I have to do retakes, and he's always there, and he's willing to help me out, because believe me, he calls me the talent, but I'm not really a talent. I'm just a guy who likes to ask questions and inform. But my last words on this is, I just want to say again, thank you. I appreciate you. If you don't think that it's hard to say how much I appreciate people in our community, well then maybe you might want to check your own heart, because again, I was so humbled and so proud of my community. So with that, Prescott, I just want to say again, thank you for the well wishes, and we'll see you next time. Until then, take care.